Hello, everybody. Jess Lohse, Structural Building Components Association, SBCA. Happy May 1st. It is May. April is done with. We are now a third of the way through the year. We've got 8 months left to make a change in 2025. And what better way to do that than at our OQM coming up in Washington, D.C. in June. So we're just over a month away from that, but our deadlines are fast approaching. You need to register for your hotel, your Nationals baseball game, dinner at Del Frisco's, the legislative fly-in. We've got all kinds of things going on then. And really, it's not necessarily an availability, it's a deadline. So we have contracts that we've got to give numbers to and all of that. And while, yes, there will be people that want to come in last minute, looking at the hotel rates in DC, obviously this OQM is not going to be an easy one for people to stomach. But when you look at booking outside of our room block, it's nuts what they can get for a hotel room in DC. So strongly encourage you to register, if not now, very soon, and get registered before those deadlines to where you can take advantage of it, because we want to see as many people there and make as much of a change and much of an impact in DC as we can. So something I want to talk a little bit about is our industry and our association and kind of our place, because I get the feel as I talk to some component manufacturers of, they don't feel as though they can make a change or make an impact. And I want to try to dispel some of that. And I'm going to start by really highlighting that, yes, our industry is very fragmented. I believe we've got right around 580 component manufacturer companies as members with 930 locations. So that 930 by 580 gets us to about 1.6 locations per company. That suggests, again, highly fragmented. We know that. We're going to go with that. But it is one of those to where it makes you feel when you're that one lone, independent, one-off component manufacturer, just one location, like you have a feeling of insignificance. And, with that, you come with kind of an inferiority complex, which is one of those things that I think it's more mental and in your head than what it is actual. But, that ability or that inability to feel like you can impact change. And that's one of those things that, okay, I'm trying to understand where our component manufacturers are coming from when we're wanting to go to DC and do these certain things. And I think beyond that, it's even further exacerbated by the segmentation of the construction process. You think of components as one part of just this big circle, big wheel of how a house is built or an apartment complex or a commercial building, and the component manufacturers spot on that. And yes, if that's all you're going to look at, you can feel, wow, overwhelming. Where is our place in this whole thing? But it's one of those that I see it as an opportunity. And hopefully after this, you'll see that as well. It's an opportunity for you to describe what you do as a CM to anybody that'll listen. And not just your customer or your supplier, but all those in your community to really, just what it is that you do, how you add value, how your process works. Your process is different than those other 929 others that, I haven't walked into two component manufacturing operations that are the exact same. That's very unique. That's an opportunity to tell that story. Beyond that, look at the level of investment and the capitalization of the equipment that is in each of those locations. Now, no two are the same, so they have a different mix, a different degree of automation, componentization, mechanization, all kinds of ization words. But it is one of those, that's a lot of dollars that are invested. It's a lot of time that went into planning for that. It's a lot of, we're not just putting up Amazon warehouses, one right after another, and making manufactured goods out of it. It is very complicated. So that's another opportunity to tell that story and to realize that, hey, we got a lot of skin in the game. That matters. That matters to people who want to know about our industry. So being able to articulate that is another thing for you to locally to be able to tell your people, whether it's your neighbors, people at your city council, your state, wherever it is. That's one thing that we need to articulate. Beyond that, look at your utilization of technology, not just on the front end with the software that we've been blessed and, a lot of hard hours and planning and dollars and investment have gone into that to develop that software, but the design aspect of it and your trust technicians, what they're using, but all the way through your plant. Look at how many different places that you've got a computer touching a piece of equipment now that you didn't have 20, 30 years ago. That technology and how it all ties together is very complex and very astute for our industry, being the construction industry. How many others in the construction industry can say that? There might be a few. I'm coming to a blank trying to think about it right now, but we've got very complicated processes. We utilize very sophisticated pieces of equipment, and it takes very skilled and talented and intelligent operators, which all of you are, to be able to pull that off. Those are the things that we need to share the stories of. Talk about your employees. Your employees, all of them different, highly skilled, highly technical in nature. They might not have a PE or a degree in this or that, but they've got a degree in knowing how to make trusses or components or wall panels, that sort of stuff. Try to sub that out. Those are the stories we need to be telling. Not only, you need to be able to tell it locally, but just the people that you touch, the employees, the livelihoods that you are enabling as a component manufacturer. We've got tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of employees across this country connected to this industry. And you think about the cumulative effect of those 930 locations, and those are just member locations. There's some non-members out there, 2 or 3, we're trying to solve that. But it is one of those that we've got a huge opportunity to be able to do that. And when you add it all up, I think that matters. I think it matters in a big way, not only to the construction industry, and imagine a construction industry without component manufacturers, but imagine just your economic development in your local areas without component manufacturers. Imagine what the construction industry would do if they had to hand cut roofs, if they only had one option for floor joists, if they did not have the opportunity to utilize wall panels, nor the knowledge that is gained and shared through that entire process. That's something that matters. And how do we articulate those stories? Well, that's the role of SBCA. That's where we come in. Our role is to bring all of that together and to be able to tell those stories on your behalf. And the totality of it for our entire country, all of those 580 companies, 930 locations, that's where we need to go with our story. And who do we do that? Who do we tell that to? Well, here in the near to distant future, we're going to be talking to lawmakers, decision makers, policymakers, those people in Washington, D.C. That's where we're going to go with this story. And why? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. Because first, whenever we're dealing with, the legislative process or trying to impact change, it's important to know that we might not get our way, but it's very important that we have our say. And that's the part that I'm worried about, is we're not having our say. We're not there. We're not present. We're not able to articulate the value we bring, the value we can provide, and the opportunities that exist by further utilization of our products and services that our industry offers. That's one. Two, you have the expertise. We've got a certain set of skills, to draw from one of my favorite movies, that we can really represent the industry and what is possible. They're looking for solutions. And I'll probably get to this here in a minute with, some of the other things, but really talking about how important it is to be part of that conversation when they are looking for solutions. And affordable housing is a hot button issue. And they go to different places and they have, they get the Google machine out. And are we properly represented there? That I don't know. But that's the things that we need to do, is be able to tell those stories to lawmakers that are trying to impact change and make sure that we are part of that conversation. Offensively, yes, it'd be nice to carve out benefits to component manufacturers, the industry, and to be able to utilize more components. But think about it. There's others trying to do the same thing. So defensively, we need to be there to make sure that we are able to articulate and make sure that we're part of any conversation that is offsite or affordable or housing related, because we are such a big part of that. So simply put, why does it matter? It's competition. And you might think of your competition as XYZ Trust on the other side of town, or the next town over, or 300 miles away that's coming into your market. That's competition for you and what you face day in and day out. But there's another form of competition, and that's alternative means and other methods for building. And think of CLT, 3D printing, modular, a lot of other things that are sexy on LinkedIn and those things that people have all the time to talk about. Obviously, component manufacturers, we go get things done. We don't have as much time to talk about it on LinkedIn, but we need to have a presence there to make sure that when somebody that is unfamiliar with it is able to come in and understand, oh, this is construction, components are the answer. Those are the things that we need to be able to articulate. And that's where we're trying to get to as an association, as an industry, to make sure that our methods are protected for the future, to where we're not looking at, oh, wow, we had some market share erosion because of this or that, when we might have some falling demographics or something 10, 15, 20 years from now. So that's what we're trying to do. That's why it matters. And hopefully you're a little bit better off and you feel a little bit better about, yes, you as a component manufacturer might be one off, one location, but you do matter because you're part of a whole. And we want to make sure that we maximize the use of components. We want to make sure that it is the first and only, not the only, the best option. And we say that with best way to frame, but that's where we need to be with components. So I know I went long here, but I'm trying to articulate some vision and some enthusiasm around our industry and why we matter, and why going to DC, why it is to articulate to not only, builders, architects, people that draw plans, engineers, what it is about components that is so special, and why we've got an opportunity, because we just haven't been able to do that yet. I want to crack through that. So with that, I doubled up my time. Hopefully you stuck with me through it. Maybe we'll chop this up and cut some pieces in, make it a little bit more easier to digest. But with that, appreciate your time as always. Trying to get those words out there, but till next week, which I promise it will be short. Peaks up and press on. We will talk to you all a little bit later. Goodbye.